Yeah, wait. What's that?
I'm sorry?
That thing you've got there, that shard. Can I take a look at it for a second? Nihalf's hammer. This is amazing. No, more than that. This is phenomenal.
I don't follow. What's so special about this thing?
This thing, as you call it, is part of an artifact. One that the scholars have been writing about for centuries. Blazes to her. Sometimes I wonder why it's always you who find such treasures, and not me. Look, if you find more of these, please bring them to me as fast as you can. It might be possible to reconstruct them, and that, I can't even begin to imagine what that would entail.
Okay. If I find more pieces, I'll bring them to you.
You have to. Nihalf's hammer, I still can't believe it. Either way, pleasure speaking with you. Hope this wasn't too grim for you, but then again, you asked for it. Give me some time now, will you?
Sure. Take care, Iskrim.
Either way.
Sure. Take care, Iskrim. Got it.
Tahar. Never mind.
Something on your mind?
Well, maybe. Remember when you asked me about Rain, the other gifted shaman from my tribe?
Yeah? What about it?
I want to talk about it. I'm not supposed to, but I don't know. I trust you, Tahar, and I've kept silent about this for far too long. Zarek's fangs, this is so silly. I feel like a damn child.
Gore, just spit it out already.
Right. Where do I start? Before becoming a shaman, every disciple has to go through a trial. The Iron Trial, as it's called. I told you that I did most of my training in solitude, didn't I? That wasn't true. 5 years after I entered disciplehood, another orc was accepted by my elder. A female, named Rain. She was 2 years younger than me.
I thought only male orcs can be gifted.
No. It's just that for female orcs, it's even rarer to have magic. Which is why there are close to no female shamans.
Huh. How did you get along?
Well, at first, I was a complete dick to her. I was jealous and feared for my position. However, she never took offense by it. She fired back at me when I got childish, but at the same time never lowered herself to my level. As the years went by, we became friends. And no, there was no courting or mating involved, if that's what you're thinking. She was more like a sister to me, and one who, unlike my true kin, understood me. Those years in the Orcish steppes, they were special. We spent days, weeks out in the wild, doing whatever our elder tasked us with. And though it was hard, there was beauty in that. We just had this connection between us, this trust.
Sounds like friendship to me.
Yeah, friendship. I never had a connection like that again, and I rarely talk about it. One time I did, the orc I told it to laughed right in my face. He thought it was ludicrous, a male spending time with a female who wasn't his mate. He stopped laughing when I broke his nose.
But something happened, am I right?
Yeah, the trial did. The sacred test every disciple has to take before he or she can become a shaman. Our elder sent us both at the same time, which was unusual. But of course I was relieved. There was plenty of talk about the Iron Trial, and I was scared.
How did Rain feel about it?
Same as I. Believe me, Tahar, only a fool would have entered into the trial with a smug smile on his face. We knew what was ahead of us.
What did you know about the trial?
Rumors. Shamans are forbidden to talk about it. But it was known that only half of those who take it return at all.
So what happened?
Zarek's fangs. I can't believe I'm telling you this. I'm breaking my oath.
For what it's worth, I'll keep silent about it, I promise.
I know you will, Tahar. Otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation. We weren't told much about the trial. Only that we'd have to venture to a cave, far up in Barga Gore. They also didn't tell us how to get there. Only that Zarek would guide us. And he did. After a week of traveling, we found it. It was a strange place, Tahar. I saw that right from the beginning. The entrance looked like a mouth, the rocks surrounding it like the bones of an old forgotten beast, and the stalagmites like hundreds of teeth. But of course, we went in. We had to.
What did you find?
A giant hall. It was as mesmerizing as it was unsettling. There were murals and carvings all over the cave walls. Old glyphs that I'd never seen before.
Shaper glyphs, maybe?
No, not Shaper. They looked as if the Guardians themselves had carved them into the rock.
Interesting. What else was there?
Nothing. That's what baffled me. Apart from those murals, the hall was completely empty. And for some reason, the ground in that hall was completely smooth, like polished stone. There were braziers, one in each corner of the hall, and they were burning brightly. Rain was as confused as I was. But nonetheless, we entered the hall. And that's when the trouble began. Because all of a sudden, the exit was gone. No magical noise, nothing. Just in that moment when we looked the wrong direction, it disappeared. And instead of it, we were looking at another wall.
How is that even possible? Maybe it was an illusion.
That was our first thought too, but it wasn't. That new wall was as solid as every other rock in that hall.
Strange. What did you do?
Well, after we calmed down a little, we assessed our situation. We figured that this was the Iron Trial, and that it was our task to find another exit. So we started looking. But it was pointless. There was nothing. We couldn't even hear the wind anymore. For the next 14 days we were trapped. We couldn't make that wall disappear, and no matter how long we studied the glyphs, how long we prayed, nothing happened. On the 5th day, our provisions had come to an end, save for half a skin of water and a handful of jerky. On the 8th day, it was all gone.
Blazes. How did you survive?
I'm getting there. As you can imagine, the thirst was the worst. It drove us mad, and we searched every corner of that goddamn hall for just a drop of water. Not that we hadn't looked before, but as you know, hope dies last. Have you ever had thirst, Tahar? Real thirst?
Yes.
Then you know what it feels like. On the 11th day, Rain and I were puking our guts out. Our skin had literally started to crack, and I felt as if I was burning from within. On the 12th day, we were only an inch from death. That's when the dream came.
A dream?
Yes, a shared dream, almost like a vision. We were still in that hall, Rain and I, but we were out of our bodies, floating like spirits. At first I thought we had died, then I saw what was different. The floor was full of blood, and that blood was burning. The murals and glyphs had started moving, twisting, like shadows dancing on a wall. That's when I first understood what they were depicting. For some reason in the real world, I'd never been able to.
What did they depict?
It showed what was expected from us, what we had to do to get out. We sorry this isn't easy. I've dreamed about those weeks ever since. But telling someone, it feels bizarre.
If this is too hard for you, we can stop.
Nonsense. I started, so I might as well finish. Zarek demanded a fight. Either one of us died by the hands of the other, or we would die there together. The Iron Trial. We were never both meant to pass.
Truth be told, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have surprised me either. But for some reason, I don't know. He had known Tahar, our elder, our master. He had known that it would come to this. Yet he still decided to send the two of us out at once.
So you fought each other?
No. Trial or not, I would have rather died than done that. And that's precisely what I told Rain. A god that demands a man to kill his own sister is not a god that deserves worship by anyone. But Rain wouldn't have it. She claimed that if both of us died, both of our lives would be wasted for nothing. I got angry and asked her if she meant that she wanted to fight me. She said no.
I don't understand.
She wanted me to kill her. She told me that she was already too weak to make it down the mountain anyway, but that I could still make it. Believe me, Tahar, if there had been any strength left in me, I would have punched her just for suggesting it.
Did you ever consider sacrificing yourself?
No. I know it makes me sound like a coward, and maybe that was part of the reason why I didn't. But the sane part of my mind still believed that there had to be another way. That all this was just some cruel joke, and the cave we had found maybe wasn't Zarek's after all.
And yet, you're here.
I am. I should have known before she even did it. She always had to have it her way, no matter the price. It happened when I was asleep. She took my dagger from its sheath, put it into my hand, and drove it through her throat without hesitation. When I opened my eyes, her blood was already all over my face. And as if Zarek had been watching all along, the wall disappeared. No noise, just like that. The wind was back, and it was raining outside. The first time in months. I like to think that she saw it before she died.
Did you make the descent?
I did. There were berries in a mountain goat that had been hit by a rock slide, right next to the exit. It was so absurd I almost had to laugh. When I got back to the Elder's shack, I screamed at him, then broke down and started to cry. He just listened. In the end, he told me that we had both known what had been at stake. Yet we agreed. Choice and consequence. He made me a shaman the next day.
That's cruel.
Maybe. But without cruelty there isn't life. Don't you too send brothers and sisters into battle, Tahar? Children, fathers. You do it because ultimately, you believe the outcome will lead to a world more desirable. It was the same with Rain and me. We wanted to be shamans, Zarek's chosen, and we both paid the price.
Do you blame yourself sometimes?
Of course I do. But ultimately, it was her choice, and all I can do to honor her now is to respect it.
I see.
There's one more thing. Remember when you asked me why I feel the way I do about our culture? Why I think we orcs should strive for more? It's Rain who made me realize that. Most orcs would have fought each other in that cave, to the death. But she didn't. Instead of submitting to her primal instincts, she made a sacrifice. One that I could have made too, if I hadn't been such a coward. Blazes, it feels strange to have told you all this. But, I don't regret it.
Well, thanks for trusting me with this, Gore.
Let me have some time for myself right now, alright? I need to think.
Let's see.
Tahar, ready to discuss the next steps?
There's just one thing I still can't wrap my head around. How did Lacane become so powerful? How could he rally so many people behind him?
The big question, isn't it? In the end, I think it boils down to the fact that he poured salt into the wounds the Mage Wars had left in Nortander. You see, it's not hard to rally people behind you if they are desperate enough. He just gave them a simple answer to a complex question. And the people believed him. Though I don't consider him a pragmatist, he really believes in what he says, that Aeonia will return once mankind has repented. Which worries me even more. There's nothing more dangerous than fanaticism, fueled by magical power. Your father is the best example.
I want to talk about Sentenza. His death.
Well, what is there to say? As I heard the story, he didn't leave you much choice.
So you're not angry?
For you defending your life? No. I never understood why he was so obsessed with hunting you down to begin with.
But he was acting on your orders.
Well, yes, strictly spoken, he was. You were a traitor. Or at least, that's what we thought back then. That witch hunt in Iskander, the battle at the Eye, that was his choice.
Why? Why did he want me dead so badly?
Well, I can only guess. But to me, it seemed as if he felt as if you had, I don't know, betrayed him. He always spoke highly of you. Did you know that? At times, it almost felt as if he considered you his own kin.
Well, if he did, he didn't show it very much.
That doesn't surprise me. Sentenza was never good at expressing emotions. You see, Tahar, in the end, both he and I are men born from war. Seeing people die at your command, hearing the widows and the orphans cry as a result of your choices, it changes you. You need to find a way to deal with it, and Sentenza did so by shutting off his emotions entirely. Or, at least, to the outside. But in the end, he always did what he thought was best for Nortander. He saw the Harbinger's true face, even before he revealed it. And I brushed it off as his usual distrust towards anyone, which was, as you know, a fatal mistake. And who knows, maybe if I had listened, it would never have come to this.
Without the Harbinger, I'd be dead.
That's true. But this discussion isn't leading us anywhere, Tahar.
You didn't tell me yet. How exactly did you get here? Weren't you in Greyfell when the Harbinger took over?
No, I wasn't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here. But we were on our way back the night it happened. As you can imagine, it was a hard choice to make. But eventually, I left my pride behind and realized attacking Greykeep with the little division I was traveling with would have been suicide.
So you fled?
We retreated. The rest is simple. We went to Iskander because we had heard the rumors about your army. There we met one of your scouts, and then the elven woman, Iria of Finnonmere.
Oh, she decided to let you in?
Correct. You know the rest. Your people were a bit distrustful at first, and I don't blame them. After all, they'd been fighting the Royal Army not too long ago. But eventually, they realized that we were on the same side.
For what it's worth, I'm glad to have the Lord Marshal of the Royal Army in our ranks.
Well, right now I doubt if I still deserve to bear that title. Half of the Royal Army is gone, and I'm to blame. But I appreciate the sentiment.
let's discuss what comes next. I'll go get the others.
Good.
Good. Now that you're all here, I'd like to plan how we proceed. As...
Tahar, I think you should allow yourself some more rest. You were in a coma for more than a month, and we still don't know what that melding actually did to you.
Isn't it obvious? It made him more powerful.
Yeah, but where does that power come from? What effect does it have on the human body or the psyche? We don't know.
I'm alright, Iskrim. Just trust me.
Fine. Then go on.
Thank you. So, our objective is clear. We need to defeat the Purity of Light and save my mother. Angar, am I right to assume that Lakain made Greykeep his new base of operations?
Correct. It's the center of his power, which is both good and bad. It's bad because Greyfell was built to withstand any kind of ambush.
And why is it good?
Because it also means if we succeed and reconquer Greyfell, we'll cut off the snake's head. Once we kill Lakain, the Purity will fall. However, there's no point in fooling ourselves. That battle for Greyfell will be bloody, and if we want to have even the slightest chance of winning, we need to join the remaining houses.
Ultran, Hallet, and Wulfgar.
Yes. If we put this army together with theirs, we might stand a chance. Also, you should see if you can strengthen the alliances you already have, Tahar. I have a plan regarding that, so we can talk further once this meeting has been concluded.
So do I.
Alright, so where do we start?
It's up to you. But before we can even think about arranging a conclave between the houses, we need to break that spell the Harbinger put on my sister Myra. Iskrim, any ideas?
Actually it should be simple. We need to find the one controlling her, take the rune and, well, destroy it in the forge.
And who is controlling her? What if it's the Harbinger himself?
I doubt it. The manipulator has to be physically close to his subject, so it'll most likely be someone in Lady Myra's army. But your rune will react to another rune's presence, so once that person is near, you'll feel it.
Good. Then I have a plan. The Harbinger has taken up position in Iskander, between the Utran and the Everlight border. You know that place, Tahar. It's where your father started his rebellion, and where Sentenza almost captured you.
The Loyalist camp. So what's your plan?
We strike in full force and take the castle. He'll be forced to initiate a counterattack, and my sister's armies, the Utran army, will be the closest ones at hand.
A bait.
Yes. We hold the castle against the main army, whereas you, Tahar, and a small troop get behind enemy lines. You find the rune carrier and strike from the shadows. Obviously, you'll have to act quick. We can't hold against the entire Utran army forever.
What if killing the rune carrier won't break the mind control?
We'll just have to hope that doesn't happen.
Alright. So we take over the castle, wait for the Utran armies to cross the border, sneak behind our lines, and eliminate the rune carrier. And once Lady Myra is freed, we will try to gain the support of House Hallett and House Wulfgar.
Yes, though we'll need to take care of something else before that. But let's discuss this when the time comes.
Agreed. One more thing. This will be dangerous, and our original mission has been completed. In other words, if any of you are thinking of leaving, now is the time. Well, then we best get prepared now. I'll tell you when we head out.
Understood. Tahar, I'd also like to talk with you if you have a moment.
Corporal Tahar. A word, if you will?
Who are you?
Private Miller, Corporal. I'm from the Royal Army and came here with the Lord Marshal. We've captured someone who we suspect belongs to the Purity. He was seen in the deserted village outside this city, and he looks suspicious. He claims to be a simple courier sent to deliver a message to you, but we didn't want to take any risks. He's outside, near the entrance to the caves.
I see. Thank you, soldier. Dismissed.
Corporal?
Tell me, Angar, do you regret helping the Purity, now that you've seen their true face?
That's a hard question to answer, and you know it. On the one hand, Yes, I underestimated them. On the other hand, back then, it was the only logical thing to do.
Logical.
Yes, after all your father did in the Mage War, the people were angry, desperate, broken. The Purity channeled and still channels these emotions. It may sound cynical to say that now, but if it hadn't been for the Purity of Light, something far worse might have happened.
Worse than a mage genocide? You let the Purity murder hundreds of mages.
Most of them were war criminals anyway. They would have been sentenced to death no matter what. But that is not to say that my decision to give the Purity of Light that much power came easy. I'm not free of self-doubt and empathy, Tahar, even though it may seem that way to you.
However, I will not lie. Mages are a problem, and something needs to be done about them. If we don't, it is only a matter of time until a second Isamo Tahar will appear and once again plunge the world into chaos.
But so much good can be done with magic. We aren't all evil.
I know you aren't. I fought alongside battle mages for all my life. But as your father proved, the damage only one deluded mage can do equals an entire division of Nortander soldiers. But to return to your question, all I did was take every factor into consideration and decide accordingly. You did the same, more than once. I've heard of the trail of destruction you've left behind on your journey. Many people died under your command.
We tried to help wherever we could.
I believe you. But have no doubt that there are many who don't. What I'm trying to say is, there might have been a better way to handle things, but I did not see it. I did what I could, and even though it turned out to be a mistake, I have no regrets.
I wanted to talk about Leonon.
I had a feeling you would. Look, back at Greykeep, the situation seemed crystal clear. You killed 3 of your brethren, and General Noria openly spoke out against you. Similar to my policy regarding the Purity of Light, I can now see that I was wrong. But again, all I did was to take all factors into consideration and decide accordingly. It was all I could do.
You also could have used common sense. I risked my life to help Nortander back when I turned to my father. Why would I now suddenly start massacring Wolfguard soldiers?
You're right. I should have taken that into consideration. Either way, you've been pardoned. And more than that, now we're fighting side by side against the real scourge of the Empire. I don't hold any grudges against you. And I can only hope you feel the same.
The past is the past.
It is indeed.
Did you ever think about what would happen if the Queen never wakes up from her coma?
She will wake up. The healers claim that she's already getting better.
They've claimed that ever since the dragon incapacitated her.
The Queen has Hibernian blood in her veins. And as long as her heart is still beating, I will not waste any time thinking about something that might never happen. Though, of course, that is not to say that others at the court haven't done it. Most people believe that Queen Aelith doesn't have an heir. But that's wrong. She does.
Really? Who?
A cousin. I suppose you know about the Queen's problematic ancestry. The ability to give life has always been impaired in her bloodline, which is why she does not have any brothers or sisters. However, it was rumored that her uncle, Anno Aelith, left an heir before he died. A bastard son.
It's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yes, because the Crown took measures to quiet these rumors. Suffice it to say that Queen Aelith's supposed cousin is far from an ideal candidate for the throne. But I will not go into detail on this topic. It is irrelevant. And it will stay irrelevant. Because the Queen will survive. I can feel it.
I'll be leaving now.
All right.
Interesting. You said that you have an idea on how we can get more allies to fight the Purity.
Yes, I do. It's someone you're already familiar with. At least, according to your friend Iria. The Iron Falcons.
You want to convince them to join our troops?
Not all of them, obviously. The field dog are an even greater threat than the purity, even if most people nowadays have almost forgotten about them. What I suggest is that we strike a bargain with them. They give us a small division of their elite keepers, and we provide them with twice the amount of footmen and maybe engineers to make up for it.
Engineers and infantry for a handful of knights. Is that really worth it?
It is. The Falcons aren't only excellent fighters. Their presence will also inspire our soldiers. They're living legends.
That's not what it seemed like when I was there. High Keeper Aranor almost lost the tomb just because she was too stubborn to cooperate with the Deathmen.
Well, given that the latter now fight for the Harbinger, her mistrust wasn't that unjustified, don't you think? But still, you make a fair point. Keeper Aranor is complicated. But if what the elf told me is true, she learned her lesson.
All right, it's worth a try. When do we set out?
Whenever you want. Thanks to these godstones, it won't take us long to get there, so I'm not expecting this mission to cost us more than a day, 2 at most. We should probably take some troops with us, just in case the canyon is still unsafe.
Fair enough. I'll let you know when we go.
Good.
You said you know where we can find more allies.
Yes I do. I'll make it short. The Ash Reavers have invaded the foot of Barga Gor. If we defeat them and their leader, like we defeated Krell, their soldiers will join us.
The Ash Reavers? I'm guessing that's another orc tribe.
Yes, you already met them, back at Farland's Hope. They are a very violent tribe, a lot like what Krell wanted the Fire Wielders to become. And they are nomads. They never stay in one place for more than a couple of moons, which is why their city is basically a movable fortress.
So, we head back to Barga Gor and defeat them. Sounds simple enough.
Well, yeah, except for one thing. Kagan, the Ash Reavers chieftain. I think this invasion is about more than gaining new territory. It's personal. He despises me, and that's putting it lightly.
Why? Because you killed Krell?
No, it's more complicated than that. Do you remember the story about my trial? About Rain?
Yeah, I do. You took the Shapeshifter's trial together, and she sacrificed herself so that you could live.
Yeah, she did. To get to the point, Kagan is Rain's true brother. To this day, he thinks that I killed her.
Did you ever try to tell him the true story?
We only met once. And yes, I did try to talk to him. It ended in a fight which I won. That disgrace only added to his hatred. And truth be told, that was my last attempt to convince him. I knew it was fruitless. Our tribes lived weeks of journey from each other. And, well, the memory of Rain's sacrifice is painful enough for me as it is. I just wanted it buried, somewhere in the dark corners of my mind where I'd never have to face it again. Which, as you can guess, didn't work. I still have nightmares.
I see. And that's why he invaded Barga Gor.
It must be. Bloodthirsty as the Ash Reavers are, there is no reason for them to start a war with the Fire Wielders, especially now that we unified them. He must have heard that I'm behind this, and that rekindled his hatred for me. In other words, we need to stop him, and as fast as possible. According to one of my sources, the Purity is also planning to start an attack on Barga Gor. The Fire Wielders should be able to hold them at bay, but not if they have to wage war against the Ash Reavers at the same time.
Why is the Purity attacking Barga Gor?
Isn't it obvious? To eradicate us. Just like the Dark Elves, we orcs are a creation of the renegade gods, so we aren't even given the chance to repent. The Kane's war doesn't stop in Nortander, Tahar. He plans to take on the entire world.
But that's crazy. He must know he can't win this.
Does he? He's a fanatic. He thinks Aeonir is acting through him. I promise you this, Tahar. Even the moment your blade is at his throat, he'll think he can still win. He has completely lost his grip on reality.
Huh. So what's the plan? Return to Bar Gore, drive back the Ash Reavers, and kill Kagan?
If all else fails, yes. We will kill him. For the sake of my people, and for our cause. But he's Rain's last living kin. So I want to first try reasoning with him instead. There must be a way to convince him that I'm not a liar, that I didn't kill his sister.
All right. I'll tell you when we head out.
Yes, Chieftain Czar already left before you woke up to get an idea of the situation. I know time is sparse, but we should leave as soon as possible. And thank you, Tahar. I appreciate it.
Interesting.
Ah, Tahar. Good of you to come by.
Sure. You wanted to talk?
Yes. I'll be brief. While you were asleep, an elven messenger came by. Varden Merilith, one of the Morhir scryers from Leafshade, sent him.
Merilith? What did he want?
Only that he needed your help. They, that is, he and a couple of his followers, seemed to be somewhere deep in the Leafshade jungle, near the Halayish ruins.
The old Hibernian city. But what do they want there? That's dangerous.
I don't know, Tahar. We will need to find out.
Do we really have time for this?
That is something you will need to decide. But if we don't help, it might cause unrest within the Morhir, who are fighting for us.
All right. We might look into this.
We should. Is there anything else you wish to discuss, Tahar? Yes, Corporal? How can I help?
Goodbye. Got it.
The best wares from Kalea to Nortander. Come again. May Tiara bless your path.
Mm-hmm. Yes? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes?
Oh, great. Another one. How often do you want me to tell you? I'm not a spy, and I'm not with Purity.
Wait! You're their leader, aren't you? Corporal Tahar!
Yes?
Well, then maybe you can tell these fools to let me go. Blazes, I knew it was stupid to take that job.
Cut the crap. I can tell a spy when I see one.
What? No! I'm not! Tiara's breath, if I were a spy, would I really have been walking around in front of your front door like that? I didn't know who you were, and I didn't know you're an enemy of the Purity. I'm just a courier, and someone paid me to deliver a message to a Corporal Tahar. I had no idea it was the Corporal Tahar, and had I known, I would have told that guy who gave me the job to sod off.
Who was it?
Well, he was wearing a hood, so he obviously didn't want to be recognized, but he had a brown beard, was about your height, and had, well, I don't know how to put it, a certain sadness in his eyes.
But he didn't look dangerous and paid good coin, so I took it.
Can I see this message?
Oh, finally, someone who asks. Yes, it's in my coat pocket, and no, there's no poison in there to kill you.
Let me see. A meeting in Everlight. From a friend.
A friend, you see? Can I go now?
I'll think about it.
What the... Blazes, what's wrong with you people? What do you want from me?
As I said, I'll think about it. Just stay put.
As if I had a fucking choice.
Now
You again. What do you want?
Let's see.
You again. What do you want?